We always get a nice long.
It's time!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the UFC 263 preview here. I'm your host, Dorian Wright, along with my Strikes and Submissions co-host, Michael Daly. We got a couple guests, Christopher and Nader. How you guys doing
What's up,
today?
guys?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Excited for the show.
I'm doing fantastic. Great to be on with you guys. We got some new guys, so it's kind of like Strikes and Submissions, but a expanded version. So great to be on with you, fellas.
Yeah, we got strikes, submissions, and decisions now. So, this card we're going to be talking about UFC 263, and starting off with the bangers first. Let's dive into a 5-round fight that's not a title fight. Who do you guys have? I'll start with you, Chris. We have Leon Edwards on an 8-fight win streak, 9-fight unbeaten streak, going up against legendary OG Nate Diaz.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. This isn't starting well for me. A lot of people aren't gonna like me to this. Man, Edwards is looking clean. The dude is. He's probably in the best shape he's ever been in. I don't think anyone would argue that. Like he's looking good. He looks. Man, Nate just he ain't doing it anymore. He's getting beat up too much. He's getting. I know that's what he does, but he's getting beat up heavy. He's getting bust open, and I know it always happens, but like it's going to work against them. I think Leon, you can't take away the fact he's won 8 fights on the hop. Like it's so crucial for him. It's massive. And just with Nate, like Nate will go all day, but at the end of the day, like if he gets bust up, the ref is going to stop the fight again. Things like that. It's just I think everything's against him in this fight. Everyone's excited to see him. But I don't see how he wins this fight. Personally, I can't see it. I can't see him winning. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the consensus around the MMA community with this fight. A lot of people asking why we even make this fight? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
is it just because Nate's asking? And it might be just because Nate's asking. But
Yeah.
Nader, do you agree with Chris, or who do you have?
I mean, Leon Edwards is looking amazing. After his last fight with Belal Muhammad, I thought that was going to be much closer than it actually was. And thankfully, that eye poke was a blessing in disguise for Belal now that he's taking on Damian Maia. But, Edwards looks sharp. Instead of Muhammad usually using his pressure, to keep going on him, Leon Edwards continuously clipped him and, made him back up. And when you back up with a guy like that, you just can't. It's not a good way to fight. So, I mean, Nate did choose Leon, which is at least sort of a good sign for his fans. But he looks too sharp. He looks too strong. Nate's on the back end of his career. He's no longer in his prime, and I really don't see him losing this fight. And, hopefully, he's going to get his title shot soon after this fight.
Okay, I like that. I like that you said that he chose Leon because a lot of people don't know he did choose Masvidal, and even after the Askren knee, like he kind of elevated Masvidal to superstar status. Mike, who you got in this fight?
I have Edwards. You and I talked about it the other day, Dorian. I think it's a strategic move that Diaz wanted this to be 5 rounds instead of 3. And you know what? There are going to be fans in the arena, fans watching on pay-per-views. So the more Nate Diaz, the better for these fans. But ultimately, though, Leon Edwards is on a path to fight for the title. And I think this is going to be his last fight before he fights for the title. Regardless of whether Dana White and the UFC brass decide to give the shot to Colby or Leon, I think Leon will wait it out a little bit if he's not giving it right away and then fight the winner of the championship fight. So Leon, this will be his last fight before he goes for the title. And I think he's going to put on an impressive showing. We'll talk more about specific fights and things like that, but Leon Edwards, I think, is going to show out tonight.
Yeah,
Can I just drop one thing in? I just, Nate, you said there, like, Nate is out of his prime. Quick question. Did he ever really have a prime? Did he ever have that, like, golden
don't be
moment?
disrespectful.
No, this isn't dissing, but if you look back, man, it's like he wins 2 fights, loses a fight. I'm not saying he wasn't good, but did he ever have that like prime where you were like, this dude is it like?
I think that, yeah, I see what you're saying because his record isn't the best, but you got to
Yeah.
look at who he's fought. It's not just about
Yeah.
having a prime and beating 6 or 7 guys who aren't on the roster anymore. Like Nate Diaz in his prime, well, it's hard to say when an athlete's prime is because he's still going. So if he beats Leon and he looks good, we might say, hey, Nate's in his prime now.
Yeah.
But when you're going up against killers like, Donald Cerrone, I know he went up against Jong Hung Kim, Anthony Pettis, Masvidal, Connor twice on short notice, like Michael Johnson. I think he fought RDA too. Like he's got a lot of big names on his resume. They don't always go his way,
Yeah.
but I respect Nate for always taking the tough fight.
Of course.
And with this, I think he again took the tough fight. He said before, hey, I want to fight one of the 155 pounders, but we got to do it at welterweight. And everyone's like, okay, well, Connor Dustin's locked up, Oliveira and Chandler is for the title. Do you want to fight Gaethje at 170? No, Gaethje's a title contender. Who you want to fight at 170? Obviously, Nate's a little thin for 170. And like you said, Chris, he picked Leon at the worst possible time because Leon looks in phenomenal shape. And aside from a quarantine in the UK, he's pretty much been in training camp for the past year and a half, 2 years, basically. So he's been revving, and obviously, like Nader said, he did have the short fight against Bilal Muhammad, which he looked amazing, but eye poke, and he only got a round and a half in. So people think ring rust is a thing. Hey, Nate hasn't fought since 2019 when Masvidal cut him, and I don't know. I don't see how Nate gets this done. I think the 5 rounds does benefit Nate. He has to keep it going and keep the pressure on Leon, but Leon has some great cardio as well. Like I know Nate's the cardio guy and he's Mr. Triathlon. Okay, I get all that, but people think Leon's gonna get pushed to exhaustion, and that's just not gonna happen before Nate drops. That's just how I see it, though. Well, I guess that's how we all see it.
One thing, though, that has to be noted, okay? I know Nate Diaz's record isn't great, but the man's a legend in the game. And the only reason why he's fighting this fight against Leon Edwards in a potential title eliminator is because he is a legend. So, and he's also a big name, too. We have to talk about that. Is his track record recently as great as other guys? No. But you know what? He's earned his way to get to this point, and you have to give him his due. He's a big enough name, and he's a legend in the UFC.
Can I ask one thing to the 40, just like yes or no? Do you truly think he deserves a title shot if he does win?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
He beats Leon
It's
Edwards.
Leon.
100%. Leon Edwards is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, I say yes because, one, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
So when a star gets 1 or 2 wins in a row, throw him in there for a title because you want the pay-per-view numbers to skyrocket. That's number 1. And 2, if you can beat Leon Edwards, you can jump the line because no one else has been able to beat him. So if he's next in line for a title shot, then how can we say the dude who just beat him isn't? And I think similarly, this is what's going to happen with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. If Conor gets the jump on Dustin, you can guarantee he's going to be next up for a title shot, even though Conor hasn't looked the greatest at lightweight in his career, really. But if you can beat the number 1 guy or the number 2 guy, yeah, you deserve a title shot.
Okay.
Do you feel otherwise? You don't think he deserves one if he beats Leon?
Like, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I agree with the fact, like, he is that legend. He is going to sell pay-per-views. But, like, I just find it so hard to give him a title fight after what happened in that Masvidal fight.
Wait, Chris, let me jump in here.
Okay.
How about TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen in the bantamweight division? Because that's kind of the same thing here. If TJ Dillashaw beats Corey Sandhagen later this summer, he's pretty much in the same stuff as Nate Diaz. So I don't think this is as rare of a thing as you're making it out to be. This stuff happens. It's big names.
I'm not saying it's rare. I'm just saying for him, that specifically him, I think TJ Dillashaw is a good fighter. I have no issues with TJ. I'd have
but
no
he's
problem.
Coming off of a loss.
Yeah, but I think it's a different scenario there.
Not really, though. Not really, because you're taking a guy who's had a long layoff, and even though he was a former champion, he's marred now because of his past. Obviously, it's not apples to apples, but what I'm saying is, though, you have a big name who's coming off of a loss. You're throwing him in there with the prohibited #1 contender. You win that fight, you're in the title shot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, but it's for me, it's just like maybe a more youthful, up and coming fighter. No specific names. I'm just thinking in general, it'd be more ideal because from what I saw in the Masvidal fight, he got butchered in his face. Like, I think we can all agree, if like he gets hit clean, like, he's going to get cut. He's going to open up. I just think, and I know this isn't what anyone thinks about, like, it's going to ruin a fight. Like, if he gets cut and the ref stops it, it's just like, oh, it's such a disappointment. But I know we can't live and think that way. So that's not the point I'm trying to make. It's more just, I just think there could be a better scenario. But don't get me wrong, he's got that legendary status, so he can kind of do whatever he wants.
And that's the point.
Straight up, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
They ain't telling him no.
Yeah, and that's the point, because when you are that level of star and you can demand a crowd to come out, like at the press conference, people are asking him questions. He sits there and lights a joint up. Like, who does that? That's something only Nate Diaz could do. And the fans love Nate. The fans are going to get behind him, even though he's, I think, like a 5-1 underdog against Leon. The fans are still going to tune in. They're going to pay their hard-earned dollars to see Nate. And if you can command that type of stardom, similar with Jorge Masvidal, he lost to Usman clear as day. No one on the planet would say Jorge had a chance in that shot. He sat back, he took his time, and Usman called him out again. Not because Usman was unsatisfied with how he 50-45'd them. He just wanted, hey, this is a big star. I can get a lot of money if I fight this guy. And he fought him, knocked him out, and you see Usman is running around, and he's one of the biggest stars in the UFC now, as compared to just maybe 7-8 months ago. No one really even knew who he was if you weren't a diehard fan. But speaking of, I think that Usman has his work cut out for him for the winner of each of these, or if each of these guys wins, I think Usman has his work cut out for him. Obviously, with Leon, they fought before and Usman got the better of him. But if Nate wins, I feel like Nate could possibly get in Usman's head. I don't know if you guys are looking that far ahead. I know we don't have Nate winning here, but if Nate can get a title shot with Usman, first of all, that would piss Colby Covington off, because I think he would jump Colby. If I'm being real,
out my mouth there.
I think he would jump Colby if he like knocks Leon out in the first or second round. Everybody's like, oh my God, Nate's back. You have to throw him in there with Usman. And Colby would then maybe fight Masvidal or maybe Leon if he waits. But who knows? Who really cares at that point? Because Nate's fighting for a title. That's all we'd care about at 170. So, man, this is going to be a great fight, though. Yeah. I'm glad that it is 5 rounds. And that's another thing. Who can come back to the UFC after a loss and say, it's not a title fight, it's not a main event, but it's 5 rounds. If it ain't 5 rounds, I'm not coming back. Only Nate. That type of star power is just unmatched in the sport.
Truly is. You mean, and I get what Chris is saying too. Although if Nate does win, it's going to be a bit sad because, all the hype behind Leon and the ability to really see like, that would be an interesting fight. He's a striker, Usman's a wrestler. Let's see if Nate can make the adjustments and, get Usman back. I understand what Chris is saying, but at the same time, if Nate Diaz beats Leon Edwards, I see him hopping over Colby Covington because Leon Edwards isn't a joke anymore. He just came off of a huge period where he didn't fight. He got that comeback fight, didn't go as planned. He's back. He looks great. And if Nate Diaz is able to beat him, why not?
Yeah, I agree 100%. But we can come back to this one if we have anything else to say. But as of now, we'll move into the co-main event, which is the first title fight of the night, rematch of one of the fights of the year, arguably the greatest fight in flyweight title history. Deiveson Figueiredo rematches Brandon Moreno. Who you guys got in this one? Nader, I'll start with you.
You know what? My heart is saying Moreno. but my mind is easily going with Figueiredo. I don't think it's even going to be necessarily that close. Rumors came out that day saying that Figueiredo was very sick and overall off that day, and he still won the fight. And in my opinion, it was yeah. So I don't even think that Moreno really has a shot. I don't see what people are saying. Figueiredo is really sharpening his boxing and BJJ skills. He's looking for the finish. And I believe that he'll make the adjustments and finally respect Moreno because, the whole fight last time, his hands were down. He was just looking. He was really underestimating him. And, if they want to go to the ground, he can wrestle. If they want to stand up, he can box. So, although I really want Moreno to win because he's obviously being the better sport and Figueiredo is becoming a bit of a heel, I don't see how Moreno can win. And I have Figueiredo possibly. I'm going to go with a stoppage.
Ooh, stoppage. So you think it's gonna be a knockout or a submission? He's a good submission guy too. Got a nice little rear naked choke, guillotine on his belt.
Yep. I could see it going if it goes on the ground. The thing is about them, I think they're looking to put on a show, but I think they are willing to go because they're both very equally matched when they can stand up, but they can also go and wrestle. So it really depends on the course of the fight. If they're standing up, it's going to be a knockout for Figueiredo.
Okay, I like the pick. Mike, you agree with him on that one?
I don't know about knockout. I know Thursday in our show, Dorian, I believe I did say it was going to be a stoppage win, but as I thought about it, Brandon Moreno is so tough and he's so durable, and I understand why people are picking him to win this fight because he was in the last one. But the thing is, though, you can never underestimate the heart of a champion. That's what Deiveson Figueiredo is. Deiveson Figueiredo, within the last 24 hours or so, has received a lot of flack for almost not making weight. But you know what? I don't care. The guy made the weight. He's going to show up ready to fight, and it's going to be a barn burner. Might be fight of the night, might be fight of the year again. Do I think it's going to be as good as their fight 6 months to the day? No, but it may be close. If that's 1A, this might be 1B. Deiveson Figueiredo revived the flyweight division, and he's the star there now. I don't see Brandon Moreno beating him, and I love the storyline between these two. You have the heel and you have the babyface who's putting up the heart sign as they're staring off. I love it. I love everything about it, but Deiveson Figueiredo, he made a mistake in his first fight. He won't make a mistake in the second one, and I think Deiveson Figueiredo is at a point, whether he stays at flyweight or moves up, he has a lot to prove, Dorian.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and we did discuss this at length on the Strikes and Submission show, so I'm not going to get into it just now, but Chris, let's hear what you got to say first.
The two of you done me dirty there. You both literally just took all the words out of my mouth. I love what Nader said. I love the way he used heel. He said heel. It's like he's got that look, doesn't he? He just looks like a bad dude.
The red stripe in his hair.
Yeah, he just looks like a dude. Like, if I saw that dude, I ain't messing with him. You can take my girl. I don't care. Do what you got to do. That don't bother me.
And he can do her hair, too. Don't forget, he's a stylist.
Yeah.
I don't mind. He looks like a bad dude. And it's just... I think that's what the UFC likes as well, because like we also can't forget, like, UFC is a product as well. I think UFC loves that sense of more aggression, more towards the like someone they can sell. And I don't think that he could be hyped way more. Not that he isn't, but he could be such a bigger name because of the persona, I suppose is the best word to use. The persona he kind of emits and has. He looks like a bad dude. I ain't messing with him. So I'm going with Figueiredo. If I'm saying that right, I could be mispronouncing it. I just think he just looks, the more aggressive fighter to me. I think it kind of seems like he's, like you said, low hands, things like that. Now that can obviously work against people, but the first fight was a bit of a barn burner. I like him for this one personally. I don't have a whole lot to say on them in general, because I think we all know what we're going to get from the fight. You know you're going to get a scrap. You know you're going to get a bit of a war. So it's not like it isn't going to be like the Izzy fight and Vittori. It's more like you know exactly what you're getting here. You're getting a war. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I think ironic that you used the term war. I think his nickname is God of War.
There
And
you go.
obviously with the red stripe in his hair, he does look like a bit of a heel.
Yeah.
But guys, I could not disagree with all of you more.
Whoa. Whoa.
Okay.
Brandon Moreno is about to shock the world. And let me tell you why. First off, like Nader said, Figgy's a little emotional coming into this fight, talking a little more trash than he usually does. Usually he says, "Oh yeah, I'll knock him out. Okay, I'm better than him." Okay, we get that. All fighters say that. That's not trash talk at this point. But he's coming out and saying, "Oh, you thought I faked my sickness, blah blah blah. Blah. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you." You don't have to show him because we all saw you won the fight. The only reason it went to a draw is because of the low blow, and that's on you. I can't I can't be sympathetic of a champion who lost the fight on his own accord. You know, not to say Moreno didn't put up a hell of a fight because he did, but I think Moreno understands now he doesn't have to fear Davidson's power like he thought he did in the first fight. Because like you said, Chris, he walks in his hands low. He'll take a shot to give a shot back.
Hmm.
Now Moreno knows that. And all the things you guys said about him adjusting and not making mistakes and he won't be sick this camp. And I don't know about that. Because even though he did finally make the weight, it took him till 8 minutes left. He literally had only 8 minutes to save the title fight. And the weight cut was really bad. I saw on UFC Embedded, he's crying after he made the weight. It didn't look good. And he has teased moving up to 35. He wants to be champ, but you got to get through Moreno first. And I think Moreno's wrestling and his cardio, if he puts it on him early, Figgy has no answer for it. And I know Figgy's great jiu-jitsu guy. He's a black belt. Also on Embedded, they said he's going to get back to his jiu-jitsu.
Mhm.
But Moreno on the ground is a savage. And I don't think that Figgy wants to be on his back against Moreno. I think Moreno's going to walk through his power like he did the last fight, and he's going to just put it on him. And like you said, you never want to root for a champion in a rematch. Excuse me, root against the champion in a rematch because you just assume they're the champ. They're going to make those adjustments. Moreno has plenty of adjustments to make. He was getting caught. He knows a little bit of Figgy's tendencies now. And I don't think Moreno showed his best self in that fight, even though it was such a great fight. So I don't have this fight getting stopped because we know even if Figgy comes out and blazes him with one, you know, the Mexican fighting style, these dudes don't go down.
No.
He's gonna stand there. He is same in boxing, same in fighting with Gastelum and Izzy. We saw he took his best shot and got right back up. So I don't think there's going to be a stoppage in this one. I don't think Figgy has the power. The weight cut seemed a bit bad, so I don't know if he's in the best shape. I don't know if he had the best camp. Moreno's doing hearts and Figgy's pushing him during the, and it's like, why are you so emotional? You're still the champ. It's not like you lost the belt, but that type of emotion is going to come in. He might just charge at him. Moreno might catch him and put him down. And I actually wrote an article about it and just got announced today that there might be a trilogy fight if Moreno wins. And I wholeheartedly believe if Figgy can still make 125 and Moreno gets this done, you make the trilogy fight. That would be amazing.
Dorian, my only critique of what you said, right, aside from the fact that we disagree on who's going to win, you said that Deiveson Figueiredo is coming to this fight very emotional. I would agree with you up until what I saw yesterday.
Exactly.
He extended his fist and gave him a bump, gave Moreno a fist bump. To me, that changed everything because it goes, okay, this guy collected himself. He realized that he was being the heel and kind of a jerk throughout this whole thing, even though that's his thing. He's going to come in, know that this is his fight to lose, and he's not going to give it up. So yesterday showed me everything because Brandon Moreno, he does that heart to get inside his opponent's head because it allows the opponent to think, oh, he's a softie, but he's not. But Deiveson Figueiredo yesterday, when he went like this, that to me showed he has everything in order. Chris, what do you think about that? Because I know it seems like Deiveson Figueiredo may not be the guy that is the biggest name of all time. Like Demetrius Johnson, but
Yeah.
I think he has a chance to win tonight.
Do you know what it is? I love what you said there, extending the fist. Do you know what it is to me? He's showing all this aggression. He's showing all this heel. He's all this. But then it's showing composure to be like, all right, I'll dab this dude up, whatever, whatever term you want to say. It's showing that bit of composure. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, you better know, like, let's touch fist. I'm good to go here. You better be ready. I'm bringing the heat. You've seen the way I've acted all week. Whatever, however long they're itching back and forth. It's kind of like, yeah, I know what I'm bringing. You better know what you're bringing. That'd be kind of the way I look. Do you know what I mean? He showed the composure, like, yeah, I'll touch fists now, but like Luke Rockhold said against Michael Bisping, touch gloves now, not later. And Bisping says, yeah, don't worry, I'll touch you later, and he absolutely smashed him out. So it's kind of like that. Do you know what I mean? It's that composure to be like, yeah, I talked all this trash, I did all this. Let's dab up now, and then we'll settle it in the ring, kind of thing. That's the way I don't know if I worded that perfectly, but I hope you get me.
I see what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent. I think it does show composure, but also I believe it was Lauren Murphy is the one who tweeted it out. She said, the UFC told all of us if we touch our opponent in any other way that's not a hug, a fist bump, or a high five, we're getting pulled off the card, fined, and suspended. So it's been clear to them after the Jeremy Stevens thing that they don't want dudes pushing each other anymore. And Figgy already pushed him at the original face-offs when they had their suits on and stuff. So yeah, the fist bump shows composure, but I want to see if that carries over into the ring, because the whole fight camp he's been emotional. He's been talking more trash than he usually does, and then the day before the fight, fist bump. I don't know, when the ref brings them together and says, touch gloves and go back to your corner. If Figgy touches his gloves, then I can agree with you, because I know Moreno's gonna put his fist out, because he might put the heart out. Hey, punch the heart. But if he doesn't, and Figgy just drops back to his corner and he's in his little psycho type now mood.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna still stay with what I was saying about him being overly emotional. But that is a good point. I like the body language in these fights. I like that we can read the body language and make something of it, even if it means nothing. But I think the most anticipated fight of this card by far has to be the rematch between Israel, the last stylebender, not the first one, Adesanya against Marvin, Angry Marvin, the Italian Dream Vittori. And I'll start off with you, Mike. How you see this fight going?
I see Israel Adesanya being in complete control. You talked about Davison Figueiredo being emotional. If he is, then what the heck is Marvin Vittori? My goodness, Marvin Vittori. I mean, he wanted to fight Carl Roberson this week. Israel Adesanya, he was just going off on everybody. To me, Israel Adesanya wants you to be emotional. The example everyone uses is Paulo Costa. The example I'm going to use, Robert Whittaker. If you remember, when Robert Whittaker and Izzy first fought in October 2019, Robert Whittaker was charged up, started banging his chest. Israel said, okay, I got it. That's when he did the death note. Izzy wants you to come in and try to take his head off, because Izzy, calm, composed. He just needs his time. He'll pull back and then come over with a straight right. That's all it takes. He hits you with a shot you don't see, and then it's over. Marvin Vittori, yes, he's going to try to wrestle with Israel Adesanya, but you and I talked about it, Dorian. I'm going to tell you two gentlemen, it won't work. Jan Blachowicz, it worked. This time around, it won't.
Okay, that's fair. I could definitely see what you mean with Vittori being overly emotional. I agree with you. I'll give my point real quick. I think Izzy's gonna get him out of there as quick as can be. I think this might be a second, third round knockout.
Agreed.
But Chris, who do you have in this?
All right, so I'm gonna get this out of the way nice and quick. I think Izzy is extremely overrated. I'm not saying that in the sense I think. Hold on now, bear with me. I agree.
Oh,
He's the second best champion in that division ever. I will give him that. I think we all know who number one is, GSP. Yeah, fair enough. You probably agree with that.
Anderson.
Not GSP. What?
Would you go Anderson? Even with the end of the tail end of that career?
We don't
My
talk.
man, he
We
has the
don't-
you
longest
said
winning
champion.
streak in that division.
Yeah, but
GSP fought
Izzy
one
will break
time.
that. Izzy will break that.
Yeah, but GSP fought one time. GSP's the greatest welterweight. He's not middleweight.
Yeah, but what
Come
I'm
on.
saying is it's more as in the fighter. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
no. We'll
beside-
talk about. Yeah, but you have to talk about divisions though, because if
Yeah.
that's the case, then you could just say GSP's the greatest of all time because he might be. Anyway, get back to your point.
Yeah. So basically, the way I look at it is I agree. I'm pretty sure Izzy's going to win the fight. I do agree. But I was kind of looking this morning and I was kind of thinking like what way will Izzy win the fight and what way could Vettori win the fight? I'm going to be honest. I'm just looking down here at what I wrote down. There's a lot less for what Izzy needs to do than what Vettori needs to do. Basically all I wrote down for Izzy was keep the distance, use his feints. I think that's everyone knows that. Hip feint and stay away from Vettori's left. That was the other thing I wrote because let's be fair, we all know he can smash, he can put you out. But for Vettori, he needs to get in close. He needs to make it a bit more dirty. He needs to make it that first round kind of a bit more of a scrap, a bit more scrappy. Don't let Izzy get he does that hip feint he does. Don't give him time to get that. Don't give him time to be doing his stance switches, things like that. For me, it's kind of he needs to get in close, make it a bit dirty, maybe take the first round, get stuck in there, and then like you said, he's a brown belt on the ground. I'm not sure wrestling, whatever it is, purple belt. Okay, so they were saying that, and so for me, it's kind of maybe take the first round, feel it out, see what it is. If you can stay in close, you should be somewhat all right, and then take it to the ground. And he has a gas tank. I don't think anyone's going to question how good of a gas tank he has. He'll go all day, and he's so deceptive. He's so underestimatedly strong. I couldn't get the other word out. He's such a strong dude. Like you saw in some of his fights, he was just manhandling people. Yeah, just nothing to him. But Izzy is strong, so I don't know how much it will work in that sense. But for him to win, he needs that first round, get in close, make it a bit dirty, maybe see what Izzy got, and then he's got to take it down, and he's got to manhandle him. He's got to absolutely. I think he's 9 wins by submission, so it's not new to him taking someone and choking them out or whatever he's to do. So for me, it's kind of there's so much more he needs to get right than Izzy does. So I do think Izzy wins, but there is a way for Vettori to win. But I think there's too much. I think there's too much for him to do, would be my opinion. It's kind of I don't know. I just think it's too much for him to do. I think he's streets behind him, but he has the tools to beat him. That's the only other thing. But it's just about getting them right, getting them right on the day.
He has to mix those tools up perfectly.
It all has to land perfectly on the night. Everything has to be. He can't make one mistake. Like you saw Whitaker, he made one mistake. He rushed in, and I don't know how easy he landed the punch. He was basically doing the Matrix and got the punch off, things like that. So it's Kevin Gastelum, the punch came out of nowhere, and he hit the hand. He put his hand up naturally. So much needs to go right for Vettori to win this fight. So I think Izzy wins it comfortably. I'll say comfortably, but there is a case there that Vettori can win if he gets it right on the night. I wouldn't say there's no shot he can't win. He's finished. And don't forget they fought once already, so he kind of knows what he's getting into. So he knows what Izzy's going to bring to the table. I don't think anyone would be shocked what Izzy does during the fight. He's going to stand. He's going to use his switch. He's going to switch his stance. He's going to throw the kicks, and he's going to pop the jab. He's going to have the arm out, kind of the open glove, which you're not meant to do anymore, but open glove, taking the jab hand away. So that's the way I look at it. It's everyone knows what Izzy's going to bring, but it's just up to Izzy putting on the show. So I don't know what y'all think about that. So
no, I see what you're saying. You're right. There is a lot of ways for. I feel like there's more ways for Izzy to win than there is for Vettori.
Yeah.
And with Vettori, he has to be damn near perfect.
To get all his things right. Yeah.
All his tools. Yeah, I see what you're saying. He has to put together the striking, mix it in with the wrestling, keep Izzy down, because it's not just enough to take Izzy down. But Nader, who do you have in this fight after Christopher just said that Izzy's overrated? We're gonna brush past that, by the way. But
Yeah.
All right, so here at TWSN, people know me as the Izzy fanboy. I'm 14 years old, so I'm the stereotypical, Izzy fan, the Khabib fan. I'm one of those kids. So, and I believe I just wrote an article about this week. Marvin Vettori is just going to be another stepping stone in Izzy's journey to become one of the best middleweights of all time, and compete with Anderson Silva for the title. Although it's going to be very hard, but that's a conversation for a different day. And the cliche thing that people have been doing that has really made me angry is comparing it to the Jan Blachowicz fight. I don't think that they're going to be similar whatsoever. And, I think it's, the tale of two fights. It's going to be the size and the location. First of all, Adesanya has a 6-inch reach advantage. That's astronomical compared to Marvin Vettori. And he also has a 4-inch height advantage. Reach is more important in height, in my opinion. But, it compared to Jan Blachowicz, who had a 2-inch height and reach, he had only a 2-inch height and reach advantage over him. But again, Jan weighed in 20 to 30 pounds heavier than Izzy did. But at the same time, this fight will also take place in an official octagon that is 30% larger than the one that Israel fought Jan in at the UFC Apex, meaning that Israel can work to his strengths of distancing and footwork. And also, if you've been watching UFC Embedded, you can see that Israel is also working with a coach that works with Volkanovski and Piotr Jan. And after Piotr Jan's last fight against Aljamain Sterling, you can see how fantastic his takedown defense was. And, as Michael said on Thursday Strikes and Submission shows, Israel has just been working on scramble drill after scramble drill. And, I honestly don't believe that it's going to be as close as a fight as many people think it is. Marvin is aggressive and, and he's very, very heated. I was just watching that press conference the other day, and Israel's just in his head nonstop. It's just funny. I'm not going to lie. The other night I was walking around, I'm like, dang, I feel bad for Marvin. Israel's narrative of his career. Israel's just like in his head, rent free, 24/7. And I honestly think that if Izzy can work to his strengths of counter striking and not wait, I believe that this can look exactly like how the Costa fight did if Israel plays it right. Working on counter striking, not being too aggressive, waiting for the finish to come to him, piecing him up little by little in order to finally get one big finish. And I just rewatched the Brunson and Adesanya fight, and Brunson is he's a good wrestler. He's probably more skilled than Vettori is, I would say, because Vettori
I would say he's the best wrestler in the division.
Yeah,
he's probably the best wrestler in the division. Me and Dorian were talking about this the other day, and Vettori isn't that good of a wrestler. He's just like gonna outwork you and outmuscle you, and he's not gonna outmuscle Izzy. He's not Jan Blachowicz. And Israel's takedown defense back then is probably a bit worse than it is now. And if he was able to get Derek Brunson off him, what's the argument against getting Vettori off him? Not only that, Izzy has some jiu-jitsu backgrounds too. It's not like he's completely clueless on the ground. It's just that when a 240-pound guy is wrestling you, who has a wrestling background too, it's not going to be the easiest thing to get him off you. But the thing is with Vettori, Izzy can defend. Izzy's a 10 times, not even miles better as a striker than Vettori is. And Vettori doesn't have the power, I would say, the reach advantage or the size that Jan had over Izzy, and I think that's pretty obvious, and I don't really think it will be that close of a fight. Marvin Vettori's last two fights were against Jack Hermanson and Kevin Holland. No disrespect to those two, they're fantastic fighters, but the Israel Adesanya's list of fighters is like Vettori, they were arguing about it. It's nowhere really near each other, and I think that Israel Adesanya is going to piece up for Marvin Vettori and put another hothead down on his list of victims.
I like the way you said that, and yeah, to bring up your last point, in the press conference he was saying, who's the last 5 guys you beat, and look at the last 5 guys I beat. Yeah. So I, being the Izzy fan that I am, I went and looked, and I'm like, okay, Izzy's last 5, and we're talking at middleweight, obviously, because we know he lost against Jan, but at middleweight, just listen to these names, right? Paulo Costa took his O. He was undefeated. Yoel Romero, little boring fight, but Yoel's at the time might have been the best wrestler in the division. You know, he's an Olympic medalist. Robert Whittaker, is anyone going to argue that Whittaker's probably the second best middleweight in the division right now? I don't think we have any arguments. Nope. Kevin Gastelum, that was one of the most exciting fights I've ever seen. One of my favorite fights I've ever seen. And then, well, that's 5. But even before that, you got Anderson Silva, who obviously was past his prime at that point. But that's a legendary type of run. And you look at Vettori's last 5. You have Kevin Holland, who took the fight on short notice because Darren Till broke his collarbone. You have Jack Hermanson, who Vettori took the fight on short notice against. You have Carl Robertson, Andrew Sanchez, and Cesar Ferreira. Now, what do you want me to do with that? Because Marvin's screaming, "Who did you beat? Who did you beat?" And I'm looking like, Marvin,
who did
relax, brother.
One thing on that, if you don't mind, I agree with everything you said, but would you not agree? Yoel Romero was. I don't want to use the word past it, but like he wasn't in there for that fight. He had little to no interest. Yoel Romero for that fight. Anderson Silva, let's be fair, he should have retired years ago. So you know, like I get maybe what he's saying. I think Vettori might be saying like, you fought a dude that was past it, another guy, and I think I'm not saying this. Well, I am saying it. I think Kevin Gastelum's a bit of a journeyman. I don't ever see him getting the title. I just see him having fights and sometimes a good fight, sometimes a bad fight. But like, I agree with you. It was a great fight with Izzy, so I wouldn't put that in that category. But like a couple of the fights were kind of like, yeah, Silva should have retired years ago. Yoel Romero did not want to be in that ring. He didn't. I don't know how many punches did he throw in that fight.
See, Chris, I don't know about that because the thing is, right, at that point in time, even though Yoel Romero lost to Paulo Costa in August 2019, he was still the boogeyman of that division, and no one wanted to fight Yoel. Izzy called him out. I think the reason why that fight wasn't as entertaining is because both men knew that one another could just flatline. Yeah. So I think that's why they were tentative. But continue. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had
I agree. I just think in terms of the fight, I suppose is more the better way to put it. It was a major letdown for both fighters. I think I don't think either of them were happy with it. So I can kind of see where Vettori's coming from. Maybe in the sense like I don't see Kevin Gastelum ever winning the title personally. I don't think he's good enough. He's a good fighter, but I don't think he's at that level. Obviously, Anderson Silva, like I said, so there's like 3 out of like his last 4. Do you know? I can see Vettori, but Vettori hasn't had that level either, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you see any of Vettori? Do you see Cesar Ferreira getting a title? Do you see Carl Robertson getting a title? I
agree with you, but that's the reason I say it. I think that's his only strategy to say, though. Do you know what I mean? It's like he kind of manhandled Kevin Holland. He took him down 11 or 10 times.
He set a middleweight record.
Yep. Yeah, it was like 11 takedowns or something ridiculous. So like he hasn't had it, but I think his argument to Izzy is, well, yeah, you've had 2 or 3 very good fights, but then other than that, like you fought a dude that was past it, like you fought a guy that didn't want to throw a punch in the whole fight, which was meant to be a good fight. It should have been a brilliant fight. That Yoel Romero fight should have been one of the best fights you get to see.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know, Nader, I don't know what you think about that, what I said.
I mean, all right, yeah, I get what you're saying. You know, Anderson Silva should have retired long ago. He destroyed a bit of his legacy. But at the same time, all right, you take out Anderson Silva, take out Yoel Romero. You still got Whittaker. I mean, at that time, Gastelum was supposed to face Robert Whittaker for the title. And at that point, I believe Gastelum was a better fighter than he is now. Sad to see him drop off a bit because he's still a warrior, and I love watching him fight. But that Gastelum was at the top of the division at that point. So that's my bit of a counter argument there. And even if you want to take out Yoel Romero, you still got Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson is still a contender. He manhandled Kevin Holland. And at the same time, Marvin Vettori did manhandle Kevin Holland, but Kevin Holland took the fight on short notice. And Jamal Hill, who's fighting Paul Craig later tonight, he even said himself, you know, if a UFC fighter says that, of course we're going to believe it because those guys are in the octagon. He said that I saw little things that Kevin Holland did that could have easily, you know, little technical things like stuffing a takedown in a certain way that could have easily stopped Marvin Vettori from destroying him the way he did. You know, and I mean, Israel Adesanya has been, you know, he's fought everyone in this division. And I believe, although this is a weird, really weird comparison, it makes sense sort of in my mind. You know, like Megan Anderson, she was sort of like a last resort at that time to fight Amanda Nunes, similar to how Marvin Vettori is just the guy that was willing to take the fight right now. Because although, in my opinion, you still got Costa, you still got, I don't believe he fought a guy at 6. He fought a guy at 10 when he was 6. He moved up to 3. The guy took the fight on short notice. And other than that, Marvin Vettori truly doesn't really deserve this title shot. I mean, he hasn't gotten through Costa. He hasn't fought Brunson. He hasn't fought Cannonier. He hasn't fought Whitaker. He hasn't fought any of the top dogs in this division who could easily win on any given night. Izzy has faced better opponents than this guy. Izzy has faced better wrestlers than this guy. And the narrative that wrestlers against Izzy, that's his whole career. So although I get what you're saying in a certain point that Izzy did fight guys that were past their prime or not that good, there's certain things behind them that you have to put context.
Just out of curiosity, being a fan, who would you have given the fight to if you don't think Vettori was the guy? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, Israel Adesanya, the thing about him is that he's an active champ, and I respect that so much. I respect him. Him and Usman are my 2 favorite fighters, arguably, in the UFC right now, accompanied by Oliveira, Poirier. But, they're active champs. And as Adesanya said in multiple interviews, Robert wanted to fight in October, and the Orc wanted to fight in September. So he gave the fight to whoever wanted to fight in June. Vettori stepped up. He gave his recognition for that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, if you put Whitaker in a ring, in the octagon with Vettori, it's not even a close fight, in my opinion. So, it just really depends. I think that, in what world do you see a guy that was at number 6 fight a guy at number 10 and get a title shot? The division is weird. It's at a weird point right now, and Vettori was more of a last resort since Izzy wanted to fight than a true contender.
Okay. Let me jump in, and last thing I'll say about this fight, Chris, you said that Kevin Gastelum's kind of like a journeyman now, and I can see why you say that. I look at it similar to Nate Diaz. I feel like Gastelum just fought a lot of great guys, but let's keep this for context. Kevin Gastelum's Marvin Vettori's training partner. So if he's training with a journeyman every day, you're not ready for Izzy. And on top of that, I think like you said, Yoel didn't want to be in there, but let's be honest. When you get chosen by the champ to fight, you fight. And Yoel made the weight. He could have won the belt. I think that fight gets, I don't want to say underrated because it was a boring fight. I'll be 100%. I'll be the first one to say it.
Boring.
But I don't think it was boring for the same reasons everyone else does. I feel like Izzy kind of came out after the fact and said, when have you ever seen Yoel do that? I froze Yoel. And when I started looking at it like that, I 100% agree, because Izzy's striking is so dynamic and so fluid. Yoel's sitting there like, I'm one of the most dangerous guys on the planet right now, and I don't want to step in there, because we see what happens when people step in. You saw what happened when Whitaker stepped in. He got knocked out twice that fight. Yeah. And Costa's literally was undefeated, like Mike said, was the boogeyman of the division. He beat Romero, and he's looking like he didn't know what a jab or a hook was. Like I think Yoel might have thrown more punches than Costa, if we're being, and I know it was longer time span of the fight, but Costa also froze in front of Izzy. So I think that's a nod to Izzy's greatness and his striking ability, more so it is to put down his opponents that he fought. And not for nothing, I think Vettori. So I want to touch on this another time, but probably on our strikes and submission show, we'll get into the Bellator main event, Mike. But I'll say it here: grappling is coming back in MMA. Oh, yeah. These grapplers who are just taking you down and holding you there and beating you up, that's coming back. It started with the jiu-jitsu guys, then it switched over to grappling, then it switched over to strikers. Now you had to mix it up. Then it came back to strikers, and now it's coming back to grappling. So is Marvin Vettori the grappler to hold Izzy and beat Izzy up, and I like to call it Khabib him? I don't know. We're going to have
strong enough, though. He definitely has the power to do it.
Definitely has the strength to do so, but it's more than just strength. You have to have the technique. You have to have the ground and pound. Yeah. And I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I do have Izzy winning, like I said, but I wanna touch on something else about the card. We have fight of the night and performance of the night bonuses that'll be given out. Probably 50K. No one asked the Tony Ferguson favor to have it bigger in Texas. So a couple people are gonna be getting 50 G's. Now, Chris, I'll start with you. Who do you have as your fight of the night? Let's just go around with fight of the nights first before we get to the performances.
See, the problem with fight at night is like if Izzy sparks him in the first round, and then like there could be like a war and prelims or something like that. They're not going to give it to Izzy for like a first round knockout. That's the way I look at it. So I think maybe Edwards and Diaz could be if they get into like a good little scrap. Maybe like if they stand and bang, as you said, if they stand in the pocket and kind of have a go. Diaz does his thing, makes the crowd have fun. They could give it to him. Why not? I don't see why not. I do think Izzy probably gets performance of the night, depending on what way he goes about the fight. If he systematically takes Vettori down, not down, takes him apart, picks him away, does his thing. I don't see why he won't get performance of the night. I just don't think he'll get fight of the night. Cause I just think I think Vettori has too much to get right, and Izzy knows what he's going to do and has to do. So I'd probably go performance of the night, Izzy, and fight of the night, Diaz and Leon.
Okay, that's not bad. Nader, what about you?
So my fight of the night candidate has to be Drew Dober and Brad Riddell. Those two guys are ready to just give us an ultimate war. Drew Dober's coming off a disappointing loss to Islam Makhachev where he just got manhandled. Like, that was just a brutal fight for him. But, these guys you got exactly. Islam is basically Khabib Jr., so it made sense. And, these two guys are ready to come in. They can both. I think Riddell's ready to go down the mat, but I think they're going to stand up and try and give the crowd a show. Because many people, to the casual eye, or people, I hate that term, but to the people that don't know UFC too much, you don't know who Drew Dober is, you don't know who Brad Riddell is, but some fans are really hyping this fight up, including me, and I think that it could be a great fight. Now, from I believe it's 2 performance of the nights. My first one's going to go to Israel Adesanya. It's just tough for me because I don't necessarily. It's just weird. I know he can knock out Marvin. It's just tough for me to see because Marvin doesn't get knocked out. He has a very good chin, but at the same time, Adesanya has destroyed people that, like Costa. Nobody would Costa, for as big and strong and powerful as he is, would get destroyed like that. But Izzy did, So I'm going to give my first one to Israel Adesanya. And my second one is a bit of a surprise. I'm going to give it to Belal Muhammad. I think that he's going to be able to, truly prove that he's an up-and-comer in this division. He's currently ranked 13th. He's going to be able to come up and probably fight Damian Maia. At one point, I wasn't the biggest fan of UFC, but as I started to learn, at one point in Damian Maia's career, if he got you down, it was very, very scary for you. But I think Damian Maia's, it was over. For as good as a BJJ as he is. But I think Damian Maia's past his prime, sadly to say. All my respect to him. But, Belal Muhammad is a very talented and tenacious fighter that can just continue to go forward, and he can wrestle you. He can strike with you. And I think that he's going to prove that he's a true up-and-comer in this division tonight.
Okay. I like that pick. That's a little sneaky sleeper pick for a performance of the night. Mike, who do you have?
Before I give mine, Chris, I know you only gave 1 performance of the night. Do you have another one you want to give? Because I don't want to pass up on you and not let you give another one.
Do you know what? Yeah, okay. I'll go Joanne Calderwood. I think, man, the women put on wars, and she's not scared to get in a fight. Like, she knows what she's doing. She'll throw hands. So I'll go JoJo. I won't take away from you. I'll just straight up. I think maybe JoJo. I haven't really thought about it too much, kind of that in that way. She ran a good fight.
I'm glad I went to you because that's my fight of the night. Joanne Calderwood, Lauren Murphy. Not enough people are talking about this fight. I don't know why, because this potentially could decide maybe a year from now who is going to end up fighting for the flyweight title. Lauren Murphy, a lot of people are just thinking Lauren Murphy's going to go in there because she's on a 4-fight win streak and take out Joanne Calderwood. I think Joanne Calderwood is going to show Lauren Murphy that she has another thing coming tonight. Although JoJo Calderwood has split 2 of her last 4, I think because she is a top 10 flyweight and also her striking has improved a lot and she can mix it up wherever the fight goes, it would not shock me if Joanne Calderwood ends up winning this, but it's going to be a banger. I think this will be fight of the night. This is going to be one of the fights. It's on the prelims. It's going to get a lot of people hyped up. I think that will be the fight of the night. And then if we're going performances of the night, Jamal Hill, I think Jamal Hill, this will be his coming out party because he's opening up the pay-per-view. Everyone, people may be getting their popcorn. They may be going to the restroom, getting something to drink. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to miss this fight whatsoever. I understand that it may not be the fight that you know about, but I think Jamal Hill will have a great performance and he will win performance of the night. And you can't underestimate Paul Craig. I know that's not my fight of the night, but Paul Craig will be in there too. And I think that's why Jamal Hill will get performance of the night because he knows what type of level of opposition he's going up against. And then my second performance of the night, Leon Edwards. He has everything to lose in this fight. If he loses this fight, he essentially will gift Nate Diaz a crack at the title against Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman even said, if Nate Diaz wins, he's fighting me next. So Leon Edwards knows what is on the line. And for his own career, his last fight against Bilal Muhammad did not go his way. But if that fight would have gone the distance or finished the way he would have wanted, he might have had performance of the night on that fight night card on March 13th. This time around, I think he will also get a performance of the night bonus.
Can I ask one thing? Is that fight officially? Is it an official title eliminator?
No.
It's kind of said that. No. So
but more or less is though because
I think Dana said that
Dana.
it was.
Why is Colby being overlooked so much? Can I ask in that scenario then?
Kamaru doesn't want him.
Well, Dana, Kamaru doesn't
Kamaru.
want him, and Kamaru said he needs to be more active. He only beat Woodley. That's 1, and 2. Dana said that they're working on getting Colby Usman right now. So when we say, "Oh, Nate's gonna win and he can jump Colby," that's only if Dana allows it.
Yeah,
but
if that fight happens.
Yeah, I don't think Colby's getting overlooked. I think Colby is next, but this is because like Nader said, Usman's extremely active. Oh, excuse me. So I think Usman's gonna fight 1 or 2 more times this year alone. So I don't think Colby's getting overlooked. I just think he's squatted on his number 1 ranking. However you feel about that is how you feel about it. But if he does get overlooked, then that's on him.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Ali Abdelaziz, Kamaru's manager, he also said that he wants to see Colby fight one more top contender. So although Dana doesn't necessarily he wants him next, I could potentially see a world where he fights the winner of Stephen Thompson and Gilbert Burns, and that's a whole different fight. We'll talk about that another time. But it's something that it's going to be interesting to see how to lay out. And Nate Diaz could potentially be getting the next title shot, but it really depends on how Kamaru and his manager really think and care about the way that Dana wants it.
Okay, so for my fight of the night, I have Jamal Hill and Paul Craig. Now this, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it, but they've been talking some mean trash back and forth. Jamal Hill said Paul Craig's nickname is Bear Jew, so I don't want anybody to think I'm just speaking out of context, but he said Bear Jew's fans are some of the craziest fans ever. He's gotten death threats. He's gotten racial remarks just thrown at him. A whole bunch of crazy stuff. So Jamal Hill's like, you're going to pay for what your fans are saying to me. Paul Craig, stoic, doesn't have emotion, had his face painted, I think that to kick off the pay-per-view is easily the best fight on this card that could have kicked off a pay-per-view. I think that's going to be fight of the night. I have Jamal Hill winning. Not that matters in the fight of the night scheme, but I think that is going to be back and forth. You got a striker against a grappler, but don't sleep on Jamal Hill's grappling as well, because he's been rolling with Gracie since he was 18. So I think that's going to be fight of the night. Probably going to be the most entertaining fight we have. performance of the night. One of my performance of the nights will go to 100% Leon Edwards for just the clean kill of Nate Diaz. He's going to take his head clean off. He's going to put it on Dana's desk and says, Kobe hasn't done this for you in a couple years. I'm next in line. I'm not going to go into it because we already did. But my other performance of the night, Chase Hooper against Steven Peterson. Chase Hooper might roll at that ankle and get a submission. And usually they do it with like knockout of the night and submission of the night, but they just switched it up now. So it's just the two best performances. I think if it's the only submission on the card or one of the only submissions on the card, Chase Hooper can get that. And
Damian Maya.
Nope.
Can't forget he's there.
No, I know. And I actually had Maya beating Bilal, believe it or not. But I think that Chase Hooper submitting Steven Peterson would be, I just feel like the ending of that will be a lot better than Damian Maya submit. Like I could see Maya coming out submitting Bilal in 2 minutes, and I can also see Chase Hooper getting beat down for 2.5 rounds and then coming and Umar Army rolling and grabbing his leg, and that's performance of the night. So I'm giving Chase Hooper one, Leon the other, and my fight of the night, Paul Craig, Jamal Hill. And guys, this is gonna be a hell of a card. I can't wait. I'm about to go get some sun now before the prelims start. You guys have anything else you want to say about this card?
I'm excited. It's gonna be honestly, the UFC this summer is gonna be great for us fans. Fight nights, pay-per-views. It's gonna be a really nice time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You'll all know the results before me because there's no shot I'm staying up until 5 a.m. For anyone that doesn't know, I live in Ireland, so there is no chance I'm staying up until 5 a.m. I am wrecked.
We can tell by the accent.
Yeah, I'll be watching it. I'll be watching in the morning. I don't think anyone questions me a scrap. I just want to clarify one thing as well. I got my divisions mixed up. You're all right. It is Anderson Silva. I got my divisions mixed up. I had them in the wrong divisions for a minute in my head, so I apologize for being wrong in that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I'll watch it in the morning, eating my breakfast, eating my Cheerios, cereal, whatever I'm doing, chilling, relaxing, so I won't be too tired. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be such a good year for fight. Not year, summer, as Nader said, for fights. We're really in for a treat. Like McGregor fight is in what, like 28, 27 days now, I think. So
Yep.
Lots to look forward to.
I just want to say, thank you guys. Thank you to our CEO Malik who set this up. I mean, you guys in your debut, hats off to you guys. You guys did a hell of a job. So it was awesome working with you guys. It was 2 additional people to what Dorian and I do on every Thursday. But I enjoyed myself. I think I could speak for everyone here. We had a great time. So, hats off to you guys.
Just one last thing I might drop in. Even down below, if anyone wants to comment the next fight you want us to look over, because obviously Michael and Dorian have their strikes and submission show, so they're going to be covering all UFC events, I'm pretty sure, and not even UFC, every kind of fight event. So even comment down below any big fights you want us to cover. We'll go through them. We'll talk to the guys, talk to Malik, see what's happening, and we'll put a show together. I must say I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, like Chris said, make sure you comment what you guys want us to break down next. But more importantly, make sure you subscribe to the TWSN YouTube channel. Go download the TWSN app. Make sure you give the guys a follow. You see, I always do that, damn. My @name's right here. Nader has his there. You guys already know Mike and Chris. They're famous. But go follow them as well. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TWSN. And it's not strikes and submissions, so there's no hashtag no decisions, but we out.